we have a wonderful guest speaker that will truly bring so much light to CCRC decision making and financial planning. And I just want to tell you a little bit about MyLifeSite, which is it's actually a website that focuses on um, information for consumers so that you have better access to evaluating senior living, what the choices are, and how do you calculate your finances. You know, is this something that can fit into your budget? My life site was designed specifically to help the people that really want to educate themselves more about CCRC, or continuing care retirement community fact finding. We here at Kendal highly value the staff, the designer of my life site, and the products that they offer. So much so that we offer all of their products to people that are interested in learning more. So people often feel confused with the choices that are out there. What's the difference between a rental community and a CCRC and all of these different things? And my life site has many articles on their website that you can refer to help define what these things are. And there's unbiased and in-depth information to help consumers and their advisors, because often you're going to be talking to your financial advisor, effectively navigate the decision-making process. So this is a terrific website for you to engage with. So today, my life site provides community-specific profile reports. It's combined with an educational content, and it helps consumers and those who advise them to make better informed decisions about your senior living. We also equip communities and other senior living providers with tools and resources. That's what my life site does. So today you will be introduced to a key person behind my life site who is going to walk you through what it does offer, how you access it. You can access one of the services right on Kendal on Hudson's website, which is a terrific product. You're going to hear about Money Gauge. You're going to hear about a financial calculator, which is a bit different with a different access. And then Tripp is going to walk you through the early stages of decision making, and you will find backup on the MyLifeSite site to support all of the information that Tripp is going to be sharing with you. So it is truly my honor to introduce to you Tripp Higgins from MyLifeSite. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. There you go, Tripp.
Awesome. Let's see if I can share my screen now. Get to the presentation. Oh, nope. Hold on. Yeah. Always the technical difficulties. We've gone through these things, and now here I am struggling just a bit to find it all. Here we go.
Meanwhile, I just wanted to point out, if you come up with questions to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and I will field those questions, and later when we answer questions, I will read those questions off to you. Or if it's something that we can answer short and quick, I'll just reply directly to you.
Well, now that we've got our presentation up here, Lois, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And certainly it goes both ways. Working with the Kendal communities across the country has been an honor for us. My great uncle actually lived in Kendal at Oberlin, Yeah, and I've had other family friends that are Kendal at Lexington and Kendal at Ithaca. So I feel quite close to the Kendal group, and certainly you all do a fantastic job. Yeah, which is an honor to be here today talking to your prospective audience. Yeah, to give you a little bit of a hint, Lois kind of dialed in. We're going to sort of hopefully help you walk through choosing the retirement community for you and making your first choice your best choice. Yeah. Yeah, our little disclaimer, this isn't investment advice or personal guidance, but it's really just our reflecting back what we have heard and what we've seen, and obviously how we've developed a business around helping people help people. Yeah. So making the right retirement choice for yourself. This is fairly complicated. It's involved with a lifestyle, a housing, a financial, and a social decision. So what we'll be doing today is talking a little bit about the importance of having a plan, top concerns among more experienced adults. Yeah, why making a decision is hard. Yeah, a little bit of how MyLifeSite can help with that decision. And then if we really have good fortune, we'll be able to understand when to make that move. And it is a little bit of a joke because it is hard to know exactly when to make that move, but we do know sooner rather than later. So do you have a plan? We stress this a lot because if you don't have a plan, obviously you're not necessarily sure where you're going to end up. And Yogi Berra says that best, that if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And we find this happens a lot with people, because right now you're looking at incredible options and opportunity in front of you. And we know everyone has their own challenges, and we hopefully will help you make sense a little bit more of your decision and what is the best pathway forward for you. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Up. It was in 2009. It was the gentleman with the balloons. And at the beginning of that movie, I thought they had a great scene that really kind of summed up our challenges in life, and that how they're all our own, and different people have different perspectives on that. And what ends up happening is this young boy leaves the movie theater, and he is just going to be able to do anything. He is this, just saw this great adventurer, and he comes upon a crack in the sidewalk, but the movie voice inside of him is he's going to go jump the Grand Canyon. And then he is going to go climb Mount Everest, what happens to be a tree stump. And what I've found in my career in senior living is that, you know, my Grand Canyon can be your crack in the sidewalk, or your Mount Everest could be my tree stump. So we're all in this together, and we're all about helping each other. So let Kendal be your Sherpa to get over the Grand Canyon. Let them be your, or get them over Mount Everest, and let them be your guide to get you through the Grand Canyon. And to give you a little history on me, I started in senior living in 2009 at a community outside of Buffalo, New York. And what makes my experience a little special is that community just opened at the beginning of the economic crash in 2007-8. So they had lower occupancy. People were very unsure about whether or not to make that move. Everyone sort of had the bunker mentality. I came in, and 6 months into my tenure, my wife passed, and I was now with my twin boys, who were 4, and we were now part of something greater. And talk about sort of divine intervention, I was now living the strength of any community, and that is community. It is the people, and being able to be around them, regardless of whether you're an introvert or extrovert. Having that energy around you, those smiles that you pass in the hall, or on your way to get your newspaper or your mail, or even to get something to eat, was pretty impactful in my life. So I've been fortunate now to direct that, and not just help one community, but now help communities across the country. And one of the early stages, came from Morrison Dining, and actually the Planner Procrastinator Crasher quote was from the former marketing director at Kendal. And this is really sort of hit home for me, because certainly there are people that are planners. They're the ones that are on vacation that have every day mapped out, have their meals ready to go, have done their Christmas shopping before July. Yeah, they are on top of it. And they're usually the ones that make a decision a little sooner rather than later. The procrastinator realizes that value of planning and will be active in the decision process, but have sometimes a hard time pulling the trigger. Yeah, we're going to go through a little bit of what makes that a little bit more difficult. And then, unfortunately, there is a small percentage that become crashers. And what we mean by that is somebody that has possibly been a procrastinator and waited too long, where a diagnosis or a fall have now precluded them from taking advantage of a life plan contract, and that their needs are far greater than what will allow you to move in independently. And you've gone from options and opportunity that are, as tall as Mount Everest or as wide as the Grand Canyon, and you're now really sort of struggling to figure out where to go and who can help you in your time of need. So from there, we'll highlight a few of the largest concerns, and maybe these will be familiar to some here. Number one, 72%, how do you deal with serious health problems? And this is fascinating because no matter how much money somebody might have, the medical system that we work with is advocate-centric. And what I mean by that is you need a loved one. You need somebody there with you at the hospital within any type of care situation that is your advocate when it's hard for you to be your own. And communities like a Kendal on Hudson are perfect for that because your team now is expanded with a number of people that are caring and very much engaged in what's best for you and your life. Second, 60% not being a burden on family. This is certainly one that I think most people can understand. Those relationships, the patriarchal, matriarchal, we don't want your relationships being transactional with your family or loved ones. We don't want them being maintenance oriented. It should be still about living life and enjoying, celebrating, and discovering. 47% running out of money to live comfortably. And in many cases, we feel like this percentage actually is much higher. It's just people don't feel like answering that first. It's more of the social acceptable of like, yeah, dealing with health problems is pretty good. Not being a burden on my family. Running out of money, we find is big. From there, 26% being lonely. And I think we figured this out during COVID, that the Amazon delivery person or UPS and FedEx don't necessarily replace seeing somebody in person and interacting. And hopefully no one's life is about looking forward to that delivery person. Next, 21% not having a purpose. And certainly we find this pretty common when you retire, your structure is gone and you're not having to create that. You might have had a fantastic career and now finding ways to still be active and engaged and have a purpose is important. And then finally, not having something to leave loved ones. And I find this can be obviously in terms of financial gifts or donations, but also in memories. And I think shared experiences are key in being able to consistently be in an environment that allows you to do that is amazing. So transitioning in here and why making this decision is so hard. This is what everybody signed on for. Well, what we've found, and MyLifeSite looks at hundreds of thousands of people that visit our site. We run all kinds of different polls, helping to understand more of where people's thought process is. And what we found is that there are a series of psychological barriers and what make a decision difficult. The anchor bias. This has a tendency to rely on the first piece of information you heard. And what I joked about is that usually somebody came in and either said they couldn't afford it or they knew it wasn't for them because their friends, gardener's friend that talked to somebody at a gas station said it was too expensive or it wouldn't be for them. And somehow that sticks. So what I was trying to explain in that story is that no matter where you hear it from, no matter how credible it is, it tends to be what your thought process of senior living is. And we're going to help sort of dispel that a bit. The next is the status quo effect. And this is real. This is making decisions. It's obviously difficult. The outcome could be a bit uncertain. So staying where you are seems like the best decision to make. And we know Kendal and Hudson and so many other communities across the country is that it's not an uncertain decision. The success rate is, especially at the Kendal and Hudson, 100%. You will, live your best life. And then finally, paradox of choice. And we find this, and I had this yesterday at a restaurant went to. They had so many items on it, I didn't know what to order. And in many cases, sometimes too many choices can be very difficult, and they can tend to create that paralysis. So with the tools that we've designed, and certainly working within communities and working with community members, we have helped design tools that help make and break down the anchor biases, help you realize the status quo isn't possibly the best decision for you, and obviously being able to simplify that choice. Next, the impact of those. Obviously, limited exploration, right? People avoid seeking information about cost and uncertainty of the financial situation can be that big barrier. The status quo effect, paradox of choice, an anchor bias can delay decision making, spending too much time. So that's the procrastinator becoming the crasher. Reduced engagement. So obviously that hesitancy tends to, you don't go to as many events. You're not as engaged with the salesperson. You tend to sort of step back a bit. Increased risk aversion. And obviously this kind of connects to status quo, is that change is difficult and obviously it can be a little scary. And will this be the right choice for you? So certainly real. And impact of value proposition. And this is where too much of the emphasis is put on costs as opposed to a lot of the other benefits that come with a life plan community. And that's why we've developed some tools to help take that away, take the financial uncertainty and make that more clear. So obviously with all of that, we wonder why making decision is so hard. Well, certainly we are here to help. What you're looking at here is the 4 products that we now sell to communities to help better communicate with their prospects and help you as a prospect make the best decision for yourself. We have a community profile. So if you go to our site, we have a search engine to find communities within an area you're looking at. Outside of our blogs, we have an extensive resource library that can be far more detailed, and that we help deliver that to communities to be able to answer more questions, and to educate the consumer, because we feel in this area, you might remember Cy Sims, the Sims department stores, that the educated consumer was his best customer. Now, we believe the same for senior living. And then we look at our financial calculator and money gauge, of which I'm going to walk through a scenario with you on how these tools work, and why we certainly encourage you to try that on the Kendal site, or even better yet, book an appointment and be able to walk through one of these assessments with a person at Kendal. So Money Gauge, which is our key product that is an incredible engagement tool on a site that helps answer a primary question. It then educates that consumer and yourselves on what is affordable. And then from there, it empowers you to make the best decision for yourself. I'm going to click here, see where it takes us, and look at that. It takes us right to our assessment. Obviously, this is to learn which type of residential options at Kendal would be the best financial fit for you. We go through a series of questions. This information is obviously kept private. We spend a lot of time and invest a lot of resources in making sure that information is protected. So for here, I'm going to run a scenario of an individual. We're going to go through and look at age. We're going to pick 75 here. And obviously providing age, because one of the what makes this tool so successful is it works off of actuarial tables. So we look at a 75-year-old and look at what their life might be and the length of that to help make calculations. Selling your home, this is a primary asset. In many cases, this is the asset you trade for an entry fee, and right sizing your residential type at a community. So we'll select here, and we are going to scroll through. Obviously, you can see we can go up to 2 million or more. I'm going to pick 800,000. Next question is approximate household savings. So this is everything from savings, certificates of deposits, investments, brokerage accounts, deferred annuities, retirement accounts, IRAs, etc. We use economic assumptions that take a blended growth rate. And what we'll look at here is we'll look at about 1.2 million. We're then going to go scroll through here of your Social Security. And we'll go at 2,500. We do ask whether or not there's a pension or not. Let's say there might be a small pension, maybe $1,000 or in between. And these ratios mean that you don't need to be exact. We use the median number here. Next question then, please provide approximate monthly in for long-term care insurance. We're going to say that we don't have it, but what we mean by this is take your daily rate, multiply it by 30, and it gives you essentially a rough estimate as your monthly coverage, and then that is used in the calculations for further care. Now, if you have any other income from other sources, rental income, royalties, etc., we're going to say NA for that. We'll hit next. This is now processing. Again, these questions are now connected to 3 primary residential options at Kendal. So their entry fees, their type A and monthly service fee that will follow you through your care, and then economic assumptions, etc. So I'm going to plug my name in here. And you see that usually I've ordered something on Amazon, I think, and it has my information. And what it's done is made it very easy for me to just plug in my first name, last name, email, and phone number. I'm going to put this on a test because this will now flow directly to their contact management system. And a salesperson will be really excited to get my assessment here. And then what I'll do is hit submit, and this will calculate. And as it is calculating here, we'll generate a result. Of course, hopefully my computer is working properly. And yes, look at that. We've got 2 options that work really well at Kendal, the 1-bedroom and 1-bedroom in den. This gauge hopefully is fairly self-explanatory. Red means that we might need more financial information. Orange is that you are a financial fit. Yellow is that you'll have a little bit more cash left over, and obviously a strong green means that you are in great shape to move into the community. Obviously, these are all preliminary. The next 2 I'll show you will get a little bit more detailed and be able to be very specific as to the apartment type and more of the specifics around where your finances are and your savings asset allocation. So from here, we can exit the tool. You can see more floor plans. Lots of, if we were to click this, will take us right into independent living, Westchester County. See, so we keep you on that site. I'm going to go back now. And actually, Joey, any questions on that? I know I'm going through this fairly quickly. More than likely a very bright audience, so they're getting this first take.
No, the only questions have been about volume, which is on their end.
Gotcha. So the next tool is a financial calculator. And this is very similar to Money Gauge, but this would be something that you would sit down with a financial or your financial planner could look at this, but also this is done by somebody at Kendal with you and your specific confidential data that you share. As we scroll through here, we'll go into this assessment. And what I've done here is I'll back onto this. We've picked a single person. Details, this is Jane Doe. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she was born November 5th, 1948. current age is 75. She's going to be looking to move into Kendal on Hudson at age 75. And the actuarial tables look at 88 being a year that she has 50% chance of not living to and a 50% chance of living well past that. And our calculations will play that, we'll show that here quickly. So the next is we're going to be looking at breaking down your home value, your cash and savings, taxable investments, whether you have deferred annuities, Roth IRAs, tax-free bonds, if there are deferred retirement accounts, what your Social Security is, if there is other monthly income. And obviously with this pension, we can fill in some data that we said 65, and actually this is saved, so I can't adjust this, but this is where you'd put in that information. And actually what we could do too here is if at age 75, you're not really looking to move in until maybe age 76 or 77, we can adjust and put what your monthly spend is living at home or wherever you are, to be able to project out and say moving in a year is more realistic, and we can make that calculation work for you. Next would now be picking an apartment. I happen to pick a 1-bedroom in Den with a single person entry fee. This is their non-refundable contract, which usually is a much lower entry fee. It does amortize at 2% over 50 months. And it is a type A. Next, we'll look at the monthly service rate of just a little bit over $6,900 a month. And as you can see in assisted and skilled, that rate follows you through all levels of care. And this is what's important about a Lifecare plan, because certainly the going rate for assisted living in your area could be as high as $8,000 to $9,000 a month, if not a little bit more, depending on other services. And skilled nursing can be anywhere from $15,000 a month and higher. Obviously, what you're buying into with a move to Kendal is having a very predictable monthly service rate. Now, we've added a little additional monthly expenses of $1,500. And then next we look at whether or not, if we did have long-term care insurance, we could fill that in. Otherwise, we're looking at economic assumptions. Currently, we're using 0% of cash and savings. Obviously, it's a little bit more right now with our inflation rates that are now coming down. Taxable investments at 4%, retirement accounts at 4%, Roth IRAs at 4%. We're looking at an inflation rate for the community at 3%, and then effective tax rates. What this all means and what we end up creating is a report that shows you graphically your entry fee as to that declining over 50 months, so just over 4 years, and looking at assets of somebody starting at 1.6, and that 13 years later, they'll still look at just having a little over $1 million. So here is your ability to control costs and maintain an incredible lifestyle at a community that takes care of just about everything, and then gives you an incredible opportunity to be your best self. The way the expenses, looking at just the basic inflationary rates that we've used, fairly consistent. You're not looking at any spikes. Usually what we see when we look at somebody that hasn't moved is there are house repairs, there are certain things that are out of your control, that do eat into your nest egg, as well as not being able to control further care costs. Now, and then finally, we look at a great cash flow statement that shows your Social Security income connected to the expenses of that unit. Maybe looking at your net income shortfall, of which most people live with a net income shortfall. Social Security doesn't cover all their expenses, so they do rely on their investments to be able to pick that up. Now, we show that balance, earning money each year, a little bit less than what the net income shortfall is, but that has worked to your advantage because we've had consistent costs throughout, and we have maintained the vast majority of your assets. So this is the tool that we highly recommend. After taking Money Gauge, the team at Kendal and Hudson can be very detailed in their assessment of any type of apartment that they have, which is fantastic. And I can go back to any of these, but obviously, hopefully, this has helped you gain a little bit more insight as to what your plan looks like and why having a plan is certainly important. if I were to reiterate it, are you a planner, procrastinator, or crasher? Yeah, hopefully some of our tools will help everybody be an expert planner. Yeah, and then know that the values of a community are far greater than the financial investment. They do invest just as much in you and your care as you have invested in them, in many cases a lot more. Yeah, and what we have found across the country is that time and time again, people say, why didn't I do this sooner? What took me so long? Well, we did sort of walk through that. The anchor bias is one, the status quo effect, and the paradox of choice. But this is a gentleman that came to us, looked through our site. He actually got a hold of us, and I certainly encourage anybody here to be able to visit our site and connect if you'd like. But this quote is pretty powerful. Mostly that opportunity to live in community is lost on us. There is, I believe, a deep yearning for its return, and he has found community. And the residents and the community members, his early friends, are now part of his new family, that he is looking forward to living the rest of his life surrounded by wonderful people that make his life that much better. So with that, in conclusion, thank you. And certainly now, I guess we can open that up to questions, and happy to sort of be able to answer that, or Lois will help, or Mary Kate.
Sure. Let's see, a couple of questions changed because they asked and then you ended up answering what they were thinking. But Susan was asking if we can get a copy of this presentation.
Yes, we can send that, and I'll let that be distributed by Lois and the team there.
Yeah. Tripp, if you would stop sharing your screen, we can show all of the people here that can answer some questions. There you go. So to answer that, this is going to be recorded, and you're going to be able to find it on Kendal, on Hudson's YouTube site. So you can see this presentation and all over again. But I'd like to introduce everyone that's here today. So the way it appears to me, to my upper left is Mary Kate McLaughlin. Mary Kate, you want to wave? There you go. Mary Kate is a sales counselor. I'm here, and you just saw Tripp. To my lower left is Caroline Huff. Caroline is from Sage Age Marketing, and she is our marketing consultant. And then you have Joey Starr, who is our marketing coordinator, and you've been in touch with him on registering for today. So Joey is the one that will be recording it. Primarily, what we were hoping for you to gain today is to know that besides your resources here at Kendal, which is the whole team that you just met, is that there is a resource online also called MyLifeSite, and you can easily Google it and get to it. And you will find educational articles there. You will find blogs there. And they're most helpful. And when Tripp started the presentation today, I was delighted that he went over psychological and emotional barriers. When people come to tour Kendal, I love hearing that they say, everybody I meet is so happy here, you know. And the point is that when they say that to a resident, the resident says to them, I was just as nervous as you before I made the decision to come to Kendal. So you number one, know that you're absolutely normal. There is a certain thought process, anxiety, whatever it is. I really like the one about making ideas, the status quo. Okay, it works good for me now, but folks, now is not forever. Things change. Think about your last 10 years, your last 5 years. What's changed in your life over that time? Do you find that the stairs and the walking have been the same? You know, what do you see that's changing? Well, your next 5, 10 years are going to be changing at the same rate. So now is not forever. And it's important when you're feeling wonderful and everything is great, you've got to think of your plan, because there will come a time when that plan is going to come in very handy. And I always say that you make plans when you can and not when you have to, because somebody will be making them for you if that time arrives. So I was very happy that Tripp introduced today's presentation with that. And you can find supporting information on that website, giving you those thought processes of people that are thinking exactly like you. But a big one is money. You know, we get that question all the time. Am I going to have enough money to move to Kendal? Well, your financial advisor, your accountants, they're all going to help you with that decision. But we're offering you 2 tools to give you a little insight. One is I call the basic. It's the ground level financial tour, and that you find on our website. And you just put in a snapshot of your financial data, and it will give you that gauge, like what is your best fit? What apartment do you best fit for? And you can do that, you know, in the comfort of your home. And it'll just give you some ideas. And those are things then that you would talk to Mary Kate or myself about. But then let's say you want to take a really closer look. Well, that's when we will take your assets and break them apart to your taxable, non-taxable, cash. We'll look at the value of your house, and it gets entered into the financial calculator. That is a genius. This software is a genius, because we also put in what apartment you like, what the entrance fee is, what the monthly fee is, and it does its magic. And over 10, 20, 30 years, you could see how much money you have, because it will calculate your assets with rates of return, and it will also calculate your monthly service fee with increases along those years. So you could get a very, very good look at what your assets would look like while all your years that you're living here. You can compare it to the non-refundable contract, to the 50% refundable contract. It's really amazing what it can do. So I see that there's questions rolling in here. Do you guys mind if can you see those questions, Tripp?
I can. So I'm looking at the top, Hillary Brown. At what point in the process do you go through the detailed financial calculation? Yeah, it can really be done at any part. Yeah, what we've found is the sooner that you can kind of help your rational brain understand the affordability of the community, yeah, the more apt you are to now embrace and connect to the emotional side of what's going to help, you know, bring more joy and celebration, yeah, into your life. So the money gauge is usually the first step somebody has done on the website. And then shortly after that, a financial calculation through our financial calculator can work. There is no cost to our site, Chris Beamer. Obviously, the resources we have on there are meant to be a great starting point for you. And obviously, being able to then bring that knowledge to a community and help, find your best fit. We can do a demonstration scenario for a couple. That is possible. We go back to the stats on refund. Anonymous attendee. That the refund, the plan we used was called the traditional. That is an entry fee that declines at 2% per month. Still receiving any financial benefit from Medicare. I'll let specifics to your community, Lois, be yours. Patricia Oaks, do we need to set up an account with MyLifeSite to utilize the features? So I only see the option for those with accounts to log in. Well, the financial calculator is something that is best used at a community that has the specific numbers. We do have a free money gauge assessment tool on our site, but obviously it's using very generalized numbers from across the country. So best to use the community specific site. Anonymous attendee, what is the situation? Hopefully not. A resident experiences cognitive decline. Can they stay at Kendal? And is there a memory care facility, additional charges? Lois, I don't know if you want to answer that, or Mary Kate.
Yeah, so we do. We have assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, and subacute rehab. What's great about a life plan community, which is exactly what Kendal on Hudson is whatever you're paying to live in your independent living apartment, should you need to transition to a different level of care, your rates do not increase. And that's why we're able to do this financial calculator in the way we do it, because we know what your long-term care is going to look like. It's going to look exactly like you're paying. So we're not guessing here. We have hard numbers. Can you visit?
Website?
Of course you can visit.
Yeah, definitely
Sorry,
recommend a
Tripp.
tour on the grounds. Absolutely no. And our website is MyLifesite.net. So MyLifesite.net. Yeah. There will be a copy of the presentation. Tax benefits, Lois. There are many.
Oh, yes. We love the residents love those tax benefits. So when we present the pricing to you, it is presented in two parts. One is your resident a care agreement, and the other is it's like an insurance. It's your life care plan. And they're two separate amounts because the life care fee is 100% tax deductible the first year you move to Kendal. And then for every year after that, there's an amount of your monthly service fee that is also eligible for tax deductions. Now, you need to itemize on your tax return to be eligible. Also, the deduction is a medical deduction, and it's considered prepaid medical. Now, of course, you have to be eligible for deductions, but every resident I spoke to here has said that they get a nice return for that tax deduction year after year.
Yeah, funny story on that. So usually at the end of the year, beginning of the next, they'll get a letter receiving as to what the tax deduction number can be, and it could be 30% to 40% or higher. And I don't know what the average has been at Kendal on Hudson. Yeah, and I asked a community member what that meant to him, and he said, "Well, I was really finally now able to buy that BMW I've always wanted with the tax savings that I never felt that I deserved or could. Many times I possibly could have afforded it, but." He's like, just wasn't able to pull the trigger. But he's like, with those tax benefits, I said, why not now? Yeah. And I did see something here about the data in the tools. Yeah, it can be deleted. Most of the time, it is saved for you to interact with and use when with the salesperson. But we've taken great lengths to encrypt that, and obviously everything is password protected, and that we take that very seriously. Talked about it at the beginning of the conversation, and certainly appreciate that question again. Protecting information is inherently important to us.
So what's the difference between our refundable and non-refundable contract? Well, the non-refundable does have refundability the first 4 years that you're living here. And it's a contract that amortizes at the rate of 2% a month every month for 4 years. So let's say after a year, you decide you want to move to Hawaii, we would give you 75% of your entrance fee back to you. In the case of a passing, that would go to your estate. So that for the non-refundable, there's a 4-year window. For the 50% refundable, it works the same way. It will amortize 2% a month, but about when you're here about 2 years, it'll be hit that 50% marker, and that's where it puts on the brakes. It's a hard stop. It stays 50% refundable for life. The Lifecare fee portion of your entrance fee will amortize to zero, but your entrance fee, your residential fee, is what's 50% refundable. So if you pay $500,000 for your residential fee, $250,000 would be refunded to your estate. Long-term care insurance, this is what I usually say. I say you don't need long-term care insurance to move to Kendal, because we are an insurance product and that's what you're getting. But what happens if you've had it? And if you've had it, my guess is that you've been paying for it for a very long time. And then you say to yourself, well, what happens now after all those years? Well, you should continue to keep it, or at your decision. It will help you to hire an aide. So, there's always that gray area in independent living where you need a little bit extra help, but you really don't need, assisted living. And an aide can help you out with a little bit, and that insurance policy will help you. Now, when you do need 24-hour care, whether it's assisted memory care or skilled nursing, you will file a claim to your long-term care insurance company. We will help you with the supporting documents, and that money goes to you. We want nothing to do with it. We will continue to bill you your same monthly fee month after month. So, if you find that you have a policy that hasn't gone absolutely insane, where some of them have done that, it's probably a good thing to keep, after all of those years. We do not help with tax deduction. I mean, we don't help with tax filings, but we do give you information annually that you can take to your accountant so they can see what the deduction is for that year.
And just quickly, Lois, I'll comment on the long-term care insurance. What we see from the financial assessments we run, keeping your long-term care insurance, depending on the plan and what its reimbursement rate can be, it essentially can reimburse you for your living at Kendal. So that $6,900 monthly service rate can be essentially reimbursed to you through the long-term care insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
So when people do need those services, it's like found money at the end. And it can definitely work to your benefit. Plus, the true advantage is most of the times, if you have that, you're not necessarily guaranteed of going any place of your choice. It's really based on who has space. Being part of a Kendal community gives you the top priority to be at Kendal. So you've made your decision, you know the people that will be taking care of you. And that's an important piece that I don't know if I can stress that enough. Most people wait until an event, so that crash, and then the list that's given to them by the hospitals to where they can go for assisted or skilled nursing is usually the 5th or 6th option has space, and that's usually not where you want to be. So it happens time and time again.
Oh gosh, Andrea, I love your question, because if you really, really think about your question, here you go, you're both in good health, but you don't want to carry a home and Kendal, but you kind of want the protection of Kendal. It's never too early to move to Kendal. We have our age range here is age 68 to 104. And we have people of all ages moving here. This is the independent living community in Kendal is just like living in your home, except you have the protections in place, but you still live like you live. I mean, I don't know what town you live in, but my goodness, we have people here that go to Rotary, they go to the Chamber, they go to Kiwanis. They get involved in all aspects of the community. It's a home, and it would be a current home. So some people may want to get a studio apartment just to have something, but it's very difficult to then try to move to a larger apartment once you do move in. So, it's an option, but it's probably not a top option. If you can't afford both places, start thinking seriously of what life would be like if you do make that decision and you make Kendal your home. You can certainly try visiting more often and meeting the residents and seeing. We have a ton of people that go to work every day too, so it's very dynamic. So the three types of contracts, Tripp, we can do this together.
Yeah,
So it's an
happy to.
ABC, right? We have all A contracts. That's all Kendal on Hudson offers. And that means whatever you're paying for your monthly service fee in your independent living apartment, that's going to be the same fee that follows you to long-term care. Your monthly fee will not go up. The type C, I'll jump to the C, is better known as a fee for service, which means just that. You pay a fee for whatever service you're getting. So if you need assisted living or skilled nursing, you're going to pay the prevailing rates. Those are unknown rates. And that's why you can't do really the same calculations, because the fee is undetermined. You don't know what it is. At Kendal, you do know what it is because it's a type A. A type C contract will leave that open because it doesn't give you that answer. The type B contract is like a hybrid of the two. Your monthly fee will remain the same for the first period of time when you transition into a higher level of care, and then it will convert to a fee for service. It would convert to prevailing rates. And if you want to add to that, Tripp, please jump in.
Well, I think you certainly have a job with us as a special consultant, Lois. That would be fantastic. That's a great answer. And I think adding a caveat to the type A contract being either the 75% refund or 50% refundable contract after so many months, or a declining balance where it'll eventually be a zero refund. Those are the two options within the type A contract. And usually the type A contract with the refundable entry fee will be quite a bit higher in cost, but all depending on individual situations. Certainly you can guide them through that. I know this question about long-term care insurance reimbursing, it all really depends on what your rate, your daily rate is on your long-term care insurance. And we had that question on Money Gauge, where if you know your daily rate, and usually it'll be on the front page of your policy, multiply that by 30, and that would be what your today's reimbursement rate would be. And if you have an inflationary rider, that's great, because that will then keep increasing each year. And we find many cases the plans do match what a monthly service rate is at a community. But I know your team, Lois, will be able to kind of look at that and help them understand exactly how their policy is going to shape and work for you.
So we are moving in so many wonderful directions here at Kendal. We always strive to make sure that we can offer you as much information as is possible and is out there that is vetted for you to make your best decision. We know it's a big decision, and we get that. I know when I took the position here, I moved from a house that I was in for over 40 years. It wasn't easy. I raised my kids there. So I was trying to figure out, okay, so how do I do this without crying? So the day I moved, I said thank you to my house. I said thank you for all the wonderful years. This was great, but I have something very exciting I want to do right now, so I gotta go. And it just made it that much easier. And I never regretted it. And I hear that in a different form because I don't live at Kendal. I wish I did, but I don't live at Kendal. But residents here say that, yeah, it's difficult to make that decision. But when that decision is made, when they're physically here, it's a sigh of relief because they know that they have a plan for the future. They know they're not going to be a burden to their children. They know that they're going to have enough money to live for the rest of their life. They know that they're going to have tremendous educational opportunities, a relationship with PACE, an indoor pool, an over-the-top equipment of a fitness center. I mean, we could just go on. And then we deal with those four-letter words. You don't have to really cook anymore. So, what could be bad? It's really great. We have a resident now, Muriel Fox, just wrote, I don't know, her second or third book. So you'll probably be hearing some things. We're going to be emailing things about Muriel. But if you look in our library, there's 3 shelves of books of Kendal authors. I think that one other thing that is very interesting about Kendal throughout all the Kendal communities is the Quaker philosophy. That's the foundation of our operation process. It's everybody is equal. We welcome everyone with arms wide open, and we do decisions by consensus. And if you think that's easy, you haven't been in a room with 100 people making a decision by consensus, but we do it. So, and it's important. Everybody has a voice. And the residents here, they have their own committees that run the activities. We do not have an activities director. There are 29 activity committees and 19 special interest groups. And I guess that they graduate. You become a special interest group and then you become a committee. But I mean, there's bridge, there's Mahjong, there's trips. We just, last year, they just started a grilling committee. There's a horticulture committee. The gardening here is over the top. It's really terrific. You have to, if you haven't come for a tour, make an appointment, come for a tour. If you're concerned about, can I afford it? With the help of Tripp Higgins' company, MyLifeSite, we can use those tools and we can help you answer those questions. So don't hold back and be afraid. That's what we're here for. And other than that, I don't see any other questions. Anybody want to do some last minute comments? Did I talk too much?
Is there a meditation group? I think what's great about asking a question like that is that if it's important to you, you can create it. Communities, those that work are about being able to bring that next superstar community member in to be able to start a meditation group. And you'll find that so many people are receptive to have those new ideas and give you those opportunities. I've seen it across the country, and I'm always pretty jazzed up about it because that's what life's about: celebrating, discovering, enjoying, living.
And to wrap it up, I do see 2 important questions here. Is there guaranteed placement in skilled nursing? Well, that's why we have such a stringent medical qualification process, because it is our promise to you that there will be space for you in skilled nursing when you need it. Tripp certainly provides services to communities all across the country. So, and also when one member of a couple requires assisted living, okay. So that's a great question, Patrick. couples, you're not going to age at the same rate. One person's going to age quicker than the other. So one spouse can be living in the apartment independently, and another spouse can be receiving 24-hour care in any of our other levels of living. Your rates stay the same. You are in the same building. You can eat together. You can go to a concert together. And just think about what life would be at home. The same situation would happen if you were home. And the person that needs the 24-hour care will be removed from the home. You're going to have to get in the car and go and visit. Here, you are seriously together under the same roof. Kendal is found from coast to coast. There's 2 communities in California. There's Oberlin in Ohio. There's several in Pennsylvania. All you have to do is look online for Kendal's, Kendal Corporation, and you're going to see a whole list. But we have them here too when you come to visit.
And certainly we supply these tools to other communities outside of the Kendal organization as well across the country. Our goal and our why, as Simon Sinek talks about, is helping people help people. That's been our philosophy. So the more that we can share what we've learned from hundreds of thousands of visitors to our site, and certainly what I've experienced in my own career and life, it is about helping people.
And Lori, to sum it up, I don't know to what level of a production you'd like to do, but the residents just started a new committee. They're skits. They're starting a skit committee. And I can't wait to see it. They told me they were going to do one on marketing. But before they did that, they told me, please don't be offended. So I don't know what they're doing, but I'm going to find out.
That was great. I don't know if anybody remembers Mark Russell. He was the great political pundit on PBS, the piano guy that had music and what have you. He was from Buffalo originally and great friends with a number of our community members. So they would create skits and he would come and be a part of that later in his career. Fabulous. So that's another sort of example of how things can be created at a community, because once you live there, you're a part of it now.
I love it. Well, listen, I totally enjoyed my time with everyone today, and we appreciate your time of joining us. Again, we will continue to stay in touch as you go through your discovery, and we wish everyone a beautiful sunny day, but only a little bit warmer. With that said, any closing remarks, Tripp?
No, really appreciate the opportunity to be able to help I think the 83 or 84 people that were on this call, hopefully make their decision a little bit easier. And certainly give them a pathway forward as to what we can do to remove some of those barriers, whether they're financial or psychological, to help them make their best decision. And the last question is, we've been working with Kendal as long as our company's really been around. So just a little over 12 years. And certainly the tools, the financial tools, are a little bit more recent in the last 4 years.
And we won't have a marketing event in March, but in April, we're going to have what we call in the industry a downsizing event, but we're going to show you how to remove the stress of packing and downsizing and all that worry from you when it's time to make a move. And I know that's a big stumbling block for folks. I mean, you look around and you go, oh, forget it. There's no way I'm gonna move all this stuff. Well, there is, and we have those answers for you, and that will happen in April. So thank you, everyone. Again, have a great day, and be well. Bye-bye now.
Appreciate it. Take care.